Chapter 694. Feng Ruqing took everything and walked out of the storeroom. She waved to Jiuming with her back facing him and left without looking back. Sponsored content. Her face sank the moment she stepped out of Paramount. She then looked up and stared at the sky. Chainer, am going to find you, regardless of the price. If you're well, then it's fine. I will bring never-ending chaos to Tian Shun Manor if they hurt you even a little bit. Feng Ruqing exhaled slowly. She then turned around and walked down the street. Sponsored content. Suddenly, a strong wind came from not far away. Feng Ruqing raised her eyes and saw a fat girl who was about 130 pounds running quickly toward her. Feng Ruqing's head turned blank again. She immediately stretched out her leg and kicked the girl. Boom! The fat girl did not expect that and rolled over a few times on the floor before stopping. Tang Yin, who was behind the fat girl, was dumbfounded. She was relieved that she did not run to Feng Ruqing before her. She never had a chance to rush to her. That was why she had escaped the disaster this time. Who are you? Feng Ruqing looked down at the girl who had fallen to the ground and asked coldly. She would not mind the women that she was familiar with rushing toward her. However, if a stranger rushed toward her, she would definitely not let the people come close. Sponsored content. Gu Yi was stunned. She stared blankly at Feng Ruqing. Did you forget me? Feng Ruqing had lost contact with the outside world for the past 6 months due to her cultivation. She rarely came out, but she often followed Xiaoyin to the princess manor. Feng Ruqing had never forgotten her, even though she had never seen her. It had only been half a year, but Feng Ruqing had already forgotten her. Do I know you? Sponsored content. The girl's face was unfamiliar, and she made no impression at all. Moreover, there was only one fat person that she knew, which was Gui. Feng Ruqing suddenly recalled something. She saw Gui half a year ago. Now half a year had passed. Gui was definitely not the 250-pound fat girl anymore. Therefore, the girl in front of her now must be Gui. Gui, that 250-pound beauty. Gui stood up with a sense of grievance. I remembered you for so long. Why did you forget me? Girl, can't you talk properly? Why do you call yourself a 250-pound beauty? The herbal dishes that you have provided me with are really effective. Gui smiled. I have lost a lot of weight in the last 6 months. My father will be surprised when I go home the next time. The current Gui was still a little fat. She still had chubby cheeks, but she was definitely looked better than before when she was around 250 pounds. Oh, I remember that you came to look for someone. Have you found the person? Feng Ruqing asked. After hearing her words, Gui said angrily, Don't mention that scumbag. Xiaoyin was right. All the men in this world are bastards. It is better to find a woman to live with. Feng Ruqing's eyes slowly turned to Tang Yin. What did you teach her? Tang Yin pouted. I'm not wrong. Yi's fiancé was too extreme. He is a total bastard. Yi did the right thing to ask him to break off the engagement. By the way, Yi, you still haven't told me your fiancé's name. Chapter 695. I don't want to talk about it. Gui did not want to care about it. It seemed that she would eat 10 pounds of pig's trotters because of her hatred toward that name. Sponsored content. So, she looked at Feng Ruqing's face. She did not know why it was different. She hated beautiful people so much before, just like how she hated Qin Fei from the Qin family. But not anymore since she met Feng Ruqing. She realized that looking at beautiful people could be so satisfying. I like it. Feng Ruqing was hesitant for a while. Gui, it's better if you don't mingle with Tang Yin so much. So, you won't be influenced by her. By the way, the state preceptor told me that Tang Yin likes my cousin. So, I plan to hold a wedding for them after some time. Tang Yin's facial expression changed drastically. Sponsored content. That Vixen Nan Xian. He did it again. He has suggested his little ideas to Feng Ruqing again. I don't want to get married yet. Xiaoyin. Feng Ruqing patted Tang Yin's shoulder. Just relax and wait to be the young general's wife. Don't worry. If my cousin bullies you in the future, I will never keep quiet about it. She gave a meaningful smile when she finished talking. Then, she walked away from Tang Yin. Tang Yin froze like a stone in the wind. She recovered her senses when she realized that Feng Ruqing had left her sight. Xiaoyin, am I still very fat? Gui glanced at her own body. She gritted her teeth and said, I won't eat any more of the pig's trotters starting from today. I want to slim down in the shortest time possible. Then, will she look at me more? Tang Yin was sad. You can slim down. But what do I do about my small breasts? She won't give me any spirit herbs dishes to grow my breasts. Moreover, Sui is very beautiful, isn't she? There are so many beautiful people in Paramount. But Xiaoqing has only eyes for that wild man. Gui subconsciously took out a pig's trotters. She brought it near her mouth and bit into it. Suddenly, she remembered the promise that she had made to herself just now. She immediately spat the meat out. Sponsored content, you're always talking about that wild man. Who is he? I have gone to the Princess Manor so many times and I have never met him. That wild man is a vixen. It's better if he doesn't show up. If he's there, we won't be able to enter the Princess Manor at all. Tang Yin sneered. That's why I have to ask you to be my comrade. Then, we can beat that wild man and successfully become Xiaoqing's women. That wild man is powerful. I cannot beat him alone. Hence, Tang Yin had spent half a year trying to influence Gui. Moreover, Gui adored Feng Ruching at first. After Tang Yin's influence, they became comrades with the same mission in lives. I was just too naive before. That was why I had fought alone. There are so many of us now. We can now compete for her attention and love. Even that wild man will not be able to beat us. Tang Yin became prouder of herself when she thought about her plans. She was feeling great. She held her small face with both of her hands. It seemed that she was imagining the days when they could beat Nancian at last. Sponsored content. Gui's eyes widened at that. Really? Will Xiaoqing accept us? All men are pigs. They are nothing compared to Xiaoqing. Moreover, Xiaoqing is both beautiful and gentle. She doesn't even dislike me because of my plumpness. She even cares about me so much. So, she's much better than those men. Faith moves mountains. I believe that we'll succeed one day. Tang Yin held out her hand. Gui clenched her hands. At that moment, they became comrades in an alliance. The name of their alliance was Beat the Vixen, Nancian. Mu Ling, who was currently at Tian Shun Manor, did not know that the fiancé he had found for Nancian had betrayed his trust. He just knew that the manor master had asked somebody to deliver him the news. Gui was unwilling to marry Nancian. Chapter 696. We have agreed upon that. Why did she change her mind all of a sudden? Sponsored content. He had even made up a lie where Nancian admired Gui so that Gui would agree to marry him. He did not even have time to persuade Nancian to return to the Mu family and marry Gui. Yet, Gui had rejected that marriage herself. Go and look into it. Why did Gui break off the engagement? It's impossible that Gui would break off the engagement without any apparent reason. There must be something that I'm unaware of. The manor master did not even mention it to me. I've got nowhere to look into. Chun Qingyan took out a handkerchief gently and helped wipe away the sweat on Mu Ling's forehead. Her voice was gentle and soft. Brother Ling, what do you think? Do you think that Nancian has done something? She has left the Tian Shan Manor not long ago, and she said that she wanted to go and look for Nancian. Now, she wants to break off the engagement. Sponsored content. Mu Ling narrowed his eyes. He seemed cold and distant. It seems that I really need to meet with Nancian. They'll ask him to go and meet with Gui. Gui is ugly, and she will definitely fall for Nancian if he approaches her on his own initiative. They'll definitely make it happen. The arranged marriage between the manor master's family and my family. They'll never give up. Chun Qingyan lowered her eyes and hid her soft smile. Gui went and looked for Nancian. It's impossible that she did not notice it. She must found out about the truth that Nancian has some other girl with him. She would feel humiliated, and that was probably the reason why she had broken off the engagement in the first place. In fact, how could Gui allow such thing to happen to her given that she's quite arrogant? Sponsored content. In case Gui becomes infuriated and kills that girl. That'll be much better. If that's the case, Nancian would totally reach an impasse with her. He'll hate her for the rest of his life. Then, there's no more possibility of them having an arranged marriage. Chun Qingyan still appeared worried no matter what her inner thoughts were. Brother Ling, I think that there must be some misunderstanding. Gui is just taking things the wrong way. When she could understand the situation better, she'll surely realize what a good man Nincian is. Fine. Mu Ling's facial expression became much better. Sponsored content Qingyan is different from the other women. The other ordinary women would only infuriate me more at such a moment. But Qingyan is always so considerate. Moreover, she defends Nancian too. Qingyan, Mu Ling could not help but pull Chun Qingyan into his embrace. I treat Nancian nicely because he's talented. The Mu family needs him. But the one I like the most is still Sierre. Chun Qingyan put her finger on Mu Ling's lips. Brother Ling, you don't have to talk like that. Siener is your son, and for sure he's my son too. I'm his stepmother. They'll surely wish the best for him his lifetime. Mu Ling hugged Chun Qingyan even tighter. Qingyan, the Mu family needs your guard and care. I need to leave for a while to go and meet up with Nancian. If not, he won't ever listen if others talk to him instead of me. These past few years, Nancian did not bother about him. Mu Ling asked the others to go and persuade him to return to the Mu family. But he never heeded it. However, Nancian gave a message to Mu Yong the last time he asked Mu Yong to persuade Nancian to return to the Mu family. Nancian claimed that he would be waiting for Mu Ling in Lu Yun Kingdom. If that's the case, I need to go there myself. I hope that Nancian will take the initiative to pursue Gui for my sake. Now, the old man's sickness could not be hidden any longer. Nancian was still quite young. It was almost impossible for Nancian to achieve a higher tier in his cultivation even if he could progress very fast. So, the current Mu family needed Tian Shan Manor's protection. Initially, I wanted Nancian to marry Tang Yin. Tang Yin's body is special and her potential is not yet fully discovered yet. We'll ask the Manor Master to let Nancian take Gui as his concubine when Nancian is much stronger in the future. Chapter 697 It's a pity. Sponsored content Tang Yin's rebellion has ruined my whole plan. We had no choice but to let Nancian take Gui as his wife. As for Tang Yin, Mu Ling stared coldly into space. I've got a way to let her progress in the shortest time. It's a pity that she has made the wrong choice and she even lost the Mu family's protection. That girl won't live for long. That's her own decision and she needs to pay for that. Feng Ruqing was on her way back to the Princess Manor after she left Paramount. She saw a person who could not possibly be in the Princess Manor when she was home. She had never even thought of it. Sponsored content Feng Ruqing's eyes were filled with shock. After a short while, she calmed herself down. She asked, Tang Yi, did you lose your way? Tang Zi is currently in the palace. Xiaoyin lives in General Manor now. Why did Tang Yi come to the Princess Manor? Tang Yi had a bitter smile when he faced Feng Ruqing. In the end, this girl still showed mercy to the Tang family. Both Tang Yu and Tang Luo deserved to die. But Feng Ruqing gave him the chance to rebuild the Tang family. She did not even kill Tang Si and Tang Wu. Their lives were spared, and they were simply banished to the savage world. Princess, I came here because I wanted to meet with you. Sponsored content Tang Yi seemed helpless. Moreover, don't mention to Xiaoyin that I've been here. You came for me? Feng Ruqing frowned slightly. She did not have a bad impression of Tang Yi. Tang Yi stood by both her and Xiaoyin's side when Feng Ruqing went to the Tang family for her father. She was grateful toward Tang Yi. She just did not understand the reason why Tang Yi had come to meet her without Xiaoyin's knowledge. Sponsored content, you can speak frankly with me, Feng Ruqing told him as she relaxed a little. Tang Yi fixed his gaze on Feng Ruqing. What about your relationship with Xiaoyin? Feng Ruqing's guard was suddenly up. I like men. Tang Yi grew noticeably uncomfortable. I don't mean that. I just want to ask whether you'll leave Xiaoyin behind if you face any danger. Will you choose to leave her behind just like those people from the Tang family before? Feng Ruqing raised her eyes and glanced at Tang Yi. Xiaoyin has made her choice and it's very clear where I stand. Don't mention anything about future events. Even if she's really in danger, I'll protect her definitely. Even if the rest of the world stands against you? I came today because of the things related to Xiaoyin. Xiaoyin herself doesn't have a clue about these things. But I need to tell you. You have the right to know. I don't want you to be burdened by these things. If not, Xiaoyin will surely hate me for the rest of her life. Having the world against me? Feng Ruqing laughed out loud. Now, the three powerful forces of the mainland and the reclusive world were her enemies. It's no different from the world being against her. Firstly, I'm not scared of anything. If I were a coward, I would not create trouble wherever I go. Secondly, Feng Ruqing walked toward Tang Yi slowly. The Tang family is quite special to Xiaoyin. She has left the Tang family and everyone else behind for my sake. How could I ever leave her behind? She chose me over her family and relatives. How could I let her think that she's made a bad choice? I'll never leave her behind, even if I'm going against the rest of the world, or even heaven up above. Chapter 698. Tang Yi looked deeply into Feng Ruqing's eyes. Then, he smiled. Sponsored content. Tang Yin did have a much better taste than them in choosing her friend. You can now tell me about the things you have mentioned just now, she said, calmly. Feng Ruqing stopped walking and came to stand beside Tang Yi. She seemed serious and solemn. Tang Yi smiled bitterly. Xiaoyin is not a child of our Tang family. She was adopted by our second master back then. But Tang Luo himself did not even know about this. I'm the only one who's aware of this. Feng Ruqing was shocked. Tang Yin is not a child of the Tang family? Why did Tang Luo know nothing about that? Sponsored content. Tang Yi might have guessed the doubt in Feng Ruqing's mind. He smiled softly. The second master of our Tang family had left home for a few years. He brought Tang Yin back when he returned to us. So, no one in the family knows of Tang Yin's real identity. But the second master told me everything before he died. Feng Ruqing pursed her lips and waited for Tang Yi to continue his story. She did not disrupt him. Tang Yi's capability is very powerful. Her strength would be feared by the whole world. Feng Ruqing narrowed her eyes. You mean? Tang Yi laughed bitterly. You could see for yourself that Tang Yin's physical strength is still very strong even if her current strength is weak. This is still under her control. So, her stepfather did not allow her to cultivate. He had even sealed her strength. Although that seal will not prohibit her from cultivating, I'll slow her speed in cultivation. Feng Ruqing knew from the day she met Tang Yin that Tang Yin had a strong physique, just like a bull. But her strength was weak. Sponsored content. Moreover, that girl was not ordinary, given that she could kill a pig easily just by accidentally sitting on it. And Feng Ruqing's heart was heavy now. She continued to ask Tang Yi, Princess, I don't know Tang Yi's true identity, but the second master told me that even if one seals her strength, that seal will naturally be broken one day. By then, no one would be able to stop her from growing anymore. Moreover, there will be many people who will come after her to kill her as long as she starts to grow. Tang Yi seemed helpless. There was a bitter smile on his face. Sponsored content. That was the reason why Tang Yi agreed to let her marry Nan Xian in the first place. I just want to seek protection for her. Why? Feng Ruqing seemed calm, but there was deep worry in her eyes. What's wrong with her growth? They need to kill her just because she's powerful? Tang Yi shook his head. Enrich is different from the others. The second master had saved her from another person back then. At that time, that person was trying to kill Enrich, trying to kill a helpless and innocent baby? What for? Feng Ruqing raised her eyes. She seemed calm, and there was a captivating smile on her face. She was dazzling. Xiaoyin is not so different from us. Why can't she grow and cultivate? Why did they want to suppress her talent? It's unfair to her. Tang Yi almost choked on his own sobs. Princess, I need to tell you something beforehand. Enrich, if she's really cultivating and growing stronger, she'll have the ability to destroy the whole world. It's her destiny the minute she was born. That's why a lot of people fear her very existence. The second master had no choice but to do what he did. Chapter 699. It's because Enrich is a beastman. 1. Sponsored content. A beastman. Feng Ruqing froze right there and then. A beastman was the product of a human and a spirit beast. But spirit beasts and humans were not of the same species. They rarely consummated. However, if they did have a child, the child would surely have all the talent and strength of both species. A A beastman could be in the world as a human, and no one would know the truth. Similarly, they have the power and long lifespan of the spirit beasts. Furthermore, they would have even inherited the advantages of both the human and spirit beast. The strength of beastmen was potentially vastly powerful. It was the same case with a mixed-blood person. They were naturally much beautiful than ordinary people. It was the same with beastmen. They were stronger than ordinary people. Sponsored content. She's not only a beastman, but one of her parents is even a savage spirit beast. Savage spirit beasts were one type of spirit beasts. But the ordinary spirit beasts would never take the initiative to attack humans. However, the savage spirit beasts were different. They were not only strong, but their natural instincts were savage and ferocious. They treated humans as food, especially those humans or spirit beasts who intrude their territories. They would all become the beastman's food. Hence, the mainland separated the savage spirit beasts from the ordinary spirit beasts in the past. But Tang Yin's not related to the savage spirit beasts. What about that? That's right. What about that? Read more chapter on our VIP novel. Sponsored content. I don't care about Tang Yin's true identity. I just know that he'll never betray her. I understand what you have said. Don't worry. He'll never leave her behind. Tang Yi breathed a sigh of relief and could finally relax after looking at the girl's determined facial expression. He had gathered up all his courage just to come and tell Feng Ruching the truth. He did not want Tang Yin to be left behind at such a dangerous time. He also did not want to leave Feng Ruching unaware of the truth when they did face danger in the future. That was the reason why Feng Ruching had the right to know about the truth. The young girl's choice did not disappoint him. Princess Enrich is not strong now. The ordinary people will treat her just like any other human, but she will become very powerful when she breaks the seal one day. She'll have a lot of enemies then. Tang Yi paused before continued he talking. Furthermore, I've got no clue as to why Mu Ling from the Mu family would know about this. The people from the Tang family knew that Tang Yin was special because Tang Yi had mentioned it one time or another. They did not know the details. Sponsored content. He had hidden Tang Yin in the Tang family these past few years. She was even prohibited from leaving the Tang family because he was afraid that her true identity would be discovered by someone else. He never thought that Tang Yin would leave the Tang family without his permission and had even met Feng Ruching. Mu Ling, Nanxian's father? He's not supposed to have existed then. Did he agree to let Nanxian have an arranged marriage with the Tang family because he knows about Tang Yin's true identity? That's right. Tang Yi seemed serious now. The beastmen are highly talented. Mu Ling is an ambitious man. Surely he wants Tang Yin close to him. I'm just worried that he'll most probably spread the news about Tang Yin's true identity given that Tang Yin will not become one of them now. Feng Ruching's heart grew heavier slowly. She gazed upon the bright blue sky. She was calm. I won't allow anyone to hurt Xiao Yin. The Mu family. They've done Nanxian and his mother too much harm. I don't hope for another strike from him. If not, Mu Ling will never be able to compensate for what he has done. Tang Yi wanted to say something, but eventually, he did not manage to voice it out. After a short while, he said, Princess, I'll leave Enrich with you. If you face any troubles in the future, he'll definitely come to help you even if I'm 1,000 miles away. Now, at least I still have my life, even if I have nothing else. Chapter 700. Feng Ruching turned to Tang Yi. Would you like to go and visit Xiaoyin later? Sponsored content. Tang Yi laughed bitterly. There's no need for that. She's living happily now. I don't have to go and disrupt her life. Feng Ruching was quiet for a while. What about Tang Zi? Tang Yi was saddened when he heard that name. He lowered his eyes and guilt was written all over his face. He did not manage to protect Tang Zi that fateful year. She had suffered a lot because of that. There's no need for that too. Tang Yi sighed softly. Tang Zi will be quite happy with you. Why should I go and remind her of her pathetic past by appearing in front of her? Feng Ruching intended to persuade him at first, but she decided against it after looking at Tang Yi's grieving face. Sponsored content. In the end, she simply said, Tang Zi has never blamed you. Tang Yi was the only one who had protected Tang Zi in that cruel Tang family. But Tang Yi did not notice Tang Luo's wickedness, and he had never thought that Tang Luo would carry out his evil plans secretly. So, Tangzi had never blamed Tangyi because of that. Tangyi put his hands behind his back. He turned and faced the soft breeze. His hair was white, but there was a soft smile on his aging face. Princess, the time is late now. I should be leaving. Don't mention to Ener that I've been here. Ener will surely leave and hide in a secluded place if ever she knows of the truth. That is her true nature. Sponsored content then. There'll be no one to help her if she attracts an endless stream of strong enemies. Tangyi waved his sleeves and walked out of the manor when he finished talking. Soon, he was out of Feng Ruqing's sight. Fu Chun. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes and called for Fu Chun when Tangyi left. A soft breeze blew. Fu Chen's small body appeared in front of her. Are you aware of the fact that she's a beast man? She remembered several instances where Fu Chun met Tang Yin, and he looked like there was something on his mind. Sponsored content. It seems that Fu Chun might know the truth. Fu Chun lowered his eyes.
Yes.
Then, why didn't you tell me before? Fu Chun was hesitant. I just thought that there's nothing wrong with beastmen. I never realized that those people intended to kill her. Feng Ruqing heaved a sigh helplessly. She hugged Fu Chun. She patted his small head softly. Luckily Tangyi came and told me everything today. If not, I'd been caught unprepared in the future. Then, Mother, will you still stay by Tang Yin's side? Read more chapter on our VIP novel. Yes. Feng Ruqing smiled slightly. Do you think that I'm a coward? Fu Chun shook his head. If Mother is a coward, she wouldn't have offended so many forces. Even though Mother is innocent, it's fine. I just need to cultivate harder from now on. Then, they'll be able to protect her. Feng Ruqing rubbed his head. What's wrong with being a beast man? I just want to see who's daring enough to harm her as long as I'm strong enough to be able to stand above everyone else in this world. At that moment, arrogance and pompousness were written all over the young girl's face. There was a bright smile on Fu Chen's soft and exquisite face. That's right. What's wrong with being a beast man? Even though the world rejects her, the world will still treat her like a god if she is strong enough to stand above everyone else. Chapter 701. Fu Chun. Feng Ruqing lowered her eyes. I took some spirit herbs from Paramount just now. Can the two of you still make a breakthrough after you have eaten them? Sponsored content. Fu Chun was excited. Mother, are those spirit herbs for us?
Yes.
Feng Ruqing smiled softly. She had decided since she knew that Nanxian's father came from the Mu family from Tianshan Manor. But she had yet to make a breakthrough to Dark Warrior tier. She was still unable to grow grade 5 spirit herbs. Moreover, Gu Yi had appeared in front of her. Gu Yi's strength was not powerful. She was similar to the Feng Ruqing before. She was quite obese, and it was difficult for her to cultivate with ease. Sponsored content. But the girl who hung around Gu Yi was a spirit warrior. That girl did not dare to disobey Gu Yi, although she was dissatisfied with her. The girl was only brave enough to secretly harm her. Thus, Feng Ruqing could guess that Gu Yi came from the reclusive world. She might possess some grade 5 spirit herbs given that she came from the reclusive world. Hence, she did not lose the opportunity to exchange some high-grade spirit herbs with her using spirit herbs dishes. She just never thought that Gu Yi came from a more powerful family. Gu Yi was even able to obtain some grade 6 spirit herbs. Then, Feng Ruqing was able to feed Fu Chun and Qing Han. Mother, it's enough. But Fu Chen's eyes darkened. We'll be sleeping soundly after we're full. Mother, are you fine with being alone? Feng Ruqing pinched Fu Chen's small face. It's fine as long as your strength is improved. They'll wait until you wake up. After that, we might be going to Tianshan Manor. Sponsored content. Fu Chun gazed at the beautiful face in front of him. Mother, have you decided to go to Tianshan Manor? I should know about this earlier. Mother has made her decision since she left Paramount. Feng Ruqing did not answer his question. She turned to look, calmly, in the distance ahead of her. That was where Qin Shin lived when he was still staying at the Princess Manor. She touched her chest softly. There was a soft smile on her face. He might be my younger brother. Do you know what that means? Sponsored content. It means, if that's the case, The Qin family is lying to you. Why did they lie? Why did they steal your younger brother? She needed to find out the truth about one thing. Is Qin Chen my younger brother? Fu Chen. He used to be the one who protects me all the time. Now, they'll protect him as his elder sister. He was the one who protected her when they were still at Huaxia. Since we meet again in this life, they'll never let anyone harm him again. Mother, Fu Chun held Feng Ruking's hand. They'll be by your side no matter what decision you make. Fine. Feng Ruqing smiled. By the way, what about that big gray doggy? Fu Chun was in doubt. Mother, are you talking about Big Black? It has almost recovered. It just needs more time to recover on its own. I came back before because of that. Oh, then I'm relieved. Fu Chun, just go back and finish up the spirit herbs in the medium. You don't have to come out here again. You must improve your strength faster. Her eyes darkened. The enemies whom she would face in the future would be stronger. So, not only her but the people around her needed to improve their strength faster. Chapter 702. It's not only for Tang Yin's sake, but also for Nancian and Suyi's. Sponsored content at General Manor. Master Nalen was playing chess with Qin Feiyang. They had not been able to fully enjoy it yet when a servant rushed toward them. Old General, Her Highness is here. Qinger is here? Nalen, who stood up, excitedly. He did not manage to even move yet when he saw two figures rushing toward the entrance of the manor quickly. Xiao Qing. Tang Yin smiled brightly. She threw herself into Feng Ruking's embrace. Sponsored content. Feng Ruqing did not push her away like how she used to do. On the other hand, she patted Tang Yin's back gently. Xiao Qing, why are you here? Tang Yin saw the change in Feng Ruqing. She was happy, and she could not suppress her excitement. I came to visit my grandfather. Feng Ruqing glanced at Tang Yin, who was as short as a petite carrot. Then, she glanced at Gui. Gui's face was still plump, but it was much better than before. She was only plump now. She seems rather cute like this. You can return to your place now after a month, Feng Ruqing said as she smiled. Sponsored content. Gui was shocked. She was unwilling to return home at that moment. She wanted to stay in Lu Yun Kingdom forever. Moreover, no one laughed or sneered at her when she was obese. Everyone was so nice and friendly here. Tianshan Manor would never have treated her like that. Grandfather. Feng Ruqing did not know about Gui's thoughts surely. She saw that Nalen, who was moving toward her. Her eyes brightened, and she walked toward her grandfather. Qinger, how come you're free to visit me today? Nalen, who laughed out loud. That laughter was pleasant. By the way, your father and mother have been away for quite some time now. Have they found my grandson whom we have lost for so long? Feng Ruqing suddenly stopped walking. She gazed at Master Nalen's smiling face. She smiled slightly. I'll be soon. That's right. The day when he will reunite with us is approaching. Sponsored content. Grandfather, I have brewed some spirit wine in the Princess Manor. If you lack spirit wine in the future, you can go to my manor directly. Nalen, who glanced at Feng Ruqing suspiciously. Qinger, why do I feel like you're acting weird recently? I'm fine. Just that I need to go somewhere soon. Don't tell anybody of this, especially my uncle. Grandfather told me before that my uncle could not keep any secret. If he knows of something, it means that the rest of the world would know. You, Nalen, who was nervous. He grabbed onto Feng Ruking's hand anxiously. Do you know where your younger brother is? I'm not sure. I just need to go and validate it. So, I don't want many people to know about that. If he's not my younger brother, then my father and mother will be so disappointed if they hear about it. Fine. Nalen, who was excited. I don't care whether it's real or fake news as long as there's hope for us. Don't worry. They'll never tell a soul, especially Nalen Zhangqian. By the way, where's Aunt and Dyer? Feng Ruqing raised her eyebrows and asked. They went to the Qin family. Nalen, who did not manage to finish his sentence when suddenly a figure came rushing toward them from outside the manor. He rushed toward Qin Feiyang. He almost burst into tears from anxiety. Master, something is wrong. Young lady has fainted. Chapter 703. What? Sponsored content. Qin Fiang's facial expression changed then. He grabbed the servant's clothes and scolded angrily. What's wrong with Pinyao? Young lady fainted. The young manor master is going to kill somebody. Master, hurry up and return to the manor. The servant was almost crying from anxiety. Qin Feiyong was no better than that. Qin Feitong had always treated Wei Pinyao like his daughter since the day she was married to his son. So, his aging face paled the minute he received that news. He did not bother about Naylan, who and quickly rushed out of General Manor. Chinger, go and take a look at that girl from the Wei family for me. Naylan, who was rather worried. Okay. Sponsored content. Feng Ruching turned calmly and rushed in the direction where Qin Feiyong was headed just now. At Qin Manor, some crying voices were heard. Feng Ruching saw a woman kneeling in front of Qin Sun when she reached there. Her eyes were filled with deep anger and hatred. She seemed wicked and was staring at the backyard. Qin Sun was holding a sword in his hand. His handsome face was filled with deep anger and frustration. If Qini had not stopped him, the sword in Qin Sun's hand would have long been stabbed into the person in front of him. Sponsored content. Sister, don't stop me. They'll kill this woman today to avenge Pinyao. Sooner. Qini frowned slightly. She looked down, coldly, at the woman who kneeled before them. Her stare was cold and distant. Wei Mingjia, how dare you come back here? Quickly tell me now. Who has given you the poison in your hand? Wei Mingjia had a sardonic smile on her face. She got up from the ground and seemed arrogant. We're the little ladies of the Wei family. Why is Wei Pinyao able to enjoy all the wealth and happiness while I'm expelled from the Wei family? Wei Pinyao did not even let me go when I left the Wei family. She has even ordered someone to humiliate me and beat me up. Luckily, I've got my chance at last. I was denied the best. Therefore, I won't let her enjoy her life either. Wei Mingjia. Qin Yi's facial expression worsened. Wei Pinyao was not the one who did that to you. Both of my fathers did that. Why are you taking your revenge on her? If I had known better, I'd never have shown mercy to her for old Master Weiss' sake. I should have killed her. I don't care. Wei Mingjia laughed rather arrogantly. There's a way to save her if you want to. Ask Qin Sun to marry me, then he'll give you the antidote. Someone else gave me the poison. Sponsored content. There's no antidote. Life is so miserable for me. Why is Wei Pinyao allowed to live happily? I want to stand between Qin Sun and her. He'll never let her have her way this lifetime. Impossible. An angry voice came from behind them before Qin Sun and Qin Yi could say anything. Wei Mingjia turned and saw Qin Fiang's angry face. He walked toward them slowly. I only want a daughter-in-law, and that's Pinyao. You're such an evil villain. You don't deserve to be our daughter-in-law. Wei Mingji's facial expression changed. She said angrily, Why? Am I any less than Wei Pinyao? For what? Why is everyone treating me like that? Wei Pinyao is just an infertile woman. How she can have everything? Anyway, they'll bear a son for Qin Sun when I'm married to him. Wei Pinyao will be dead by then. Then, he'll surely become the young lady of the Qin family. Princess, Qin Feiyong wanted to say something. He turned and looked at Feng Ruching. Please help us. Chapter 704. Fine. Feng Ruching smiled slightly and nodded. She scanned Wei Mingjia coldly. This kind of person should never be allowed to live. Sponsored content. That was the end of Wei Mingjia. Qini was delighted when she saw Feng Ruching. She always felt that there was nothing that Feng Ruching could not do. If she was here, it meant that Pineo would be fine. Chinger. Aunt, you don't have to worry. Aunt Yao is going to be okay. Feng Ruching smiled, and she did not say much. She also did not ask how Wei Mingjia had hurt Wei Pinyao. She walked directly toward the backyard of the manor. In the room, Wei Pinyao was pale. She lay on the bed listlessly. Sponsored content. There were two maids tending to Wei Pinyao at the moment. They retreated when they saw Feng Ruching. She could not guess the type of poison just by looking at Wei Pinyao's appearance. But she could smell the lingering scent of the poison when she walked into the room. Sandalleaf? That's right. It's a grade 5 spirit herb. But how did Wei Mingjia obtain a grade 5 spirit herb? Moreover, this poison, it's a poison that will cause infertility. If a person swallows a sandal leaf by accident, that person would be unable to conceive children anymore. If that person were pregnant, the child would be dead, and she would no longer be able to conceive children anymore in the future. But Feng Ruqing did not understand the reason behind committing such a crime. Spirit herbs are used on cultivators. Sponsored content Wei Pinyao is just an ordinary person who has never cultivated. If they really want her infertile, they could just make use of ordinary herbs. They don't have to use spirit herbs. Ordinary herbs could not do much harm to the cultivators. The spiritual qi in their bodies would help to restrain the herbs from doing harm to them. Only spirit herbs could harm the cultivators. They'll never let anyone hurt her again no matter what. I've helped heal her body with much difficulty and effort. Wei Pinyao was poisoned when her mother was impregnated with her. She had gotten fetus poisoning. That was the reason why her body was physically weak and infertile. After that, Feng Ruqing helped to detoxify the poison in her body, and that was when Wei Pinyo's body started to heal. But her infertility was still an unresolved issue. When Feng Ruqing had made a breakthrough to Spirit Warrior tier, she had grown more spirit herbs for Wei Pinyao. So, she always asked the ape to deliver to her some spirit herbs from time to time. She had used a lot of spirit herbs to heal Wei Pinyao. Sponsored content Those spirit herbs cannot go to waste. Feng Ruqing put her hand on Wei Pinyo's pulse. Her face darkened. It's a pulse of a pregnant woman. Wei Pinyao is pregnant. Feng Ruqing took a deep breath. She took out a piece of ginseng shaped like a doll from the medium. Then, she turned to walk out of the room. The two maids were still waiting outside of the room. Go and immerse this ginseng in the water. Then, help her up to drink the water. I hope that we can help protect her baby this way. Yes, princess, the maids replied, respectfully. In the manner, Qini glanced at Wei Mengjie coldly. Her eyes were filled with deep hatred and anger. She was ready to kill Wei Mengjie any time now. But, at that moment, she turned and saw Feng Ruqing walking toward them from the backyard. She was delighted, and she quickly approached Feng Ruqing. Qinger, how is it? Feng Ruqing was calm. She would be fine for the time being. This poison, it's only capable of making a woman infertile. It won't endanger their lives. Wei Pinyao fainted because she could not endure the effects of the poison given that she is pregnant. Chapter 705. There's one thing that I need to inform you guys about. Feng Ruqing paused before she continued. Aunt Yao. She's pregnant. Sponsored content pregnant. A word that was just like a hammer to everyone's heart. It should be a joyful thing to hear, however. Because of Wei Pinyo's condition, nobody was joyful as their hearts were cloaked in a haze. Wei Pinyao is pregnant? Wei Mengjie screamed. She's only a hen that doesn't lay eggs. How can she be pregnant? That's impossible. She could not believe that Wei Pinyao was really pregnant. Wei Mengjie. An angry voice suddenly rang. It was so frightening that it made Wei Mengjie tremble. She turned her head stiffly and saw the Wei family's master, Wei Feng, walking furiously toward her. Then, he gave her a violent slap to her face. Sponsored content, what have you done to Pinyao? Wei Feng trembled in anger as his face was already distorted. He regretted it. Back then, he should not have kicked Wei Mengjie out. Such a wicked heart villain should have been beaten to death. Wei Pinyao. The corners of Wei Mengjie's lips lifted into a scornful smile. Her eyes seemed wicked as she giggled in a low voice. It's Wei Pinyao again. Why does every one of you only care about her? Even her father was the same. She was his biological daughter as well. Why did he treat her in such a cruel way? Sponsored content, do you still insist to be stubborn and refuse to admit your mistake now? The anger in Wei Fang's eyes previously had turned into disappointment. He had never made a single mistake throughout his life. The only mistake he had made was being too obedient and filial to his mother. Therefore, he had taken a concubine whom he did not like and had also given birth to a daughter who had ruined his reputation in his previous life. It's my fault. It's all my fault. Wei Feng kneeled down in agony as he was flooded with tears. I have done wrong to Pinyo's mother and Pinyao. It's all my fault. Qin Fiang's lips twitched. He did not feel good watching his old companion in such agony either. However, he did not step forward. He should bear some of the consequences, as by only doing so, he could only come to his senses in the future. What have you done wrong to her? Wei Mingji's face was hideously twisted. You have wronged me and my MO. Read more chapter on our VIP novel. Combang. Sponsored content. Feng Ruqing gave a swift kick to Wei Mengjia and sent her flying. Her body hit the wall as fresh blood continuously oozed from her mouth. Her pale face seemed even more ugly now. Say it. Who gave you the grade 5 spirit herb, Sandaleaf? Feng Ruqing walked toward Wei Mengjia expressionlessly and stepped on her chest before stomping on her with a sudden burst of strength while she asked. Because of the stomp, Wei Mengjia spat out a mouthful of blood right away as her complexion turned gray. Her face looked dull. Grade 5 spirit herbs. Those words were enough to shock everyone. Even Wei Feng lifted his head and glared at Wei Mengjia. How could Wei Mengjia possess spirit herbs in her hand? Why would she use the spirit herbs against Pinyao when she was only an ordinary person? I don't know. Wei Mengjia rolled her eyes and denied by gritting her teeth. That person had told her before, if she ever spoke of him, then he would let her suffer a life worse than death. You refuse to say it? Feng Ruqing sneered. I have hundreds of poisons in my hand that will torture you and make you crave for death. It's all right if you don't want to say it. I shall let you taste a variety of agonies. She violently pressed and locked Wei Mingji's jaw with her fingers. Then she took out a black fruit and stuffed into her mouth, forcing her to swallow it. Wei Mengjia jolted as if her bones had shattered. It was so painful that it made her break out in cold sweat. Chapter 706. That kind of pain was really terrible to bear. Sponsored content. She was in so much pain that she wanted to beg for mercy. However, when the words reached her throat, it was stuck no matter how hard she tried. All she could do was glare at Feng Ruqing with her terrified eyes. That pain had lasted for a whole hour. It only wore off after an hour. Wei Mingji's body went limp and collapsed. Her whole body was soaked in sweat as her lips were pale. I've told you that. I don't know who he is. I didn't know that was a spirit herb too. Really, all I got from him was only a bottle of powder. He asked me to think of a way to approach you, and everything would be done by just letting you inhale the powder. However, I couldn't enter the princess manor, and also, I want to exact revenge on Wei Pinyao anyway. Therefore, she had made the selfish decision and used that poison on Wei Pinyao in the end. That person had also mentioned that if she succeeded in tricking Feng Ruqing, in order to prevent her from getting killed by Feng Ruqing, he would let her enter an area and be with forces he was in connection with. It was obvious that the person did not want Feng Ruqing to find out who he was. Therefore, if she had really obeyed him and plotted to hurt Feng Ruqing, she would be silenced by death as soon as she made it. Sponsored content. Therefore, she was not that foolish to really get herself in trouble with Feng Ruqing. Besides, he had told her that the powder was colorless and odorless, which was hard to notice when viewed with the naked eyes. Also, Feng Ruqing would not find out right away, as nothing would happen the moment someone breathed in the powder. But in the end, Wei Pinyao blacked out as soon as she used it on her, which was a dead giveaway before she could run away. Feng Ruqing's face grew even colder. The person who had gotten poison, Wei Mengjia, came to look for her? Then, do you know what's the purpose of this poison? Feng Ruqing sneered as her lips twitched. Sponsored content. Wei Mengjia shook her head. She really did not know. She would not have used it to hurt Wei Pinyao if she had known it. In her eyes, Wei Pinyao was already infertile long ago. Why would she take the trouble to do that? To make someone infertile forever. The words were just like a bolt of lightning, jolting the crowd's hearts. Qini was startled. Qinger, who was the person exactly to be in such a deep grudge toward Qinger to want to make her infertile? Sponsored content. Tile? Wei Mengjia looked as pale as a dead person. She was lying on the floor, paralyzed with terror and looking hopeless. Why would it be infertility? She would never apply it on Wei Pinyao if she had known it earlier that it was a sterilizing potion. Suddenly, Wei Mengjia laughed hysterically as she seemed to think of something. Oh, by the way, didn't you mention just now that Wei Pinyao is pregnant? Has she miscarried yet? Ha ha ha. Wonderful. It did not matter how Wei Pinyao got pregnant this time, as from now on, she could never have a baby anymore. Everything was worth it this time. Qin Sun panicked. He gritted his teeth hatefully and turned to glare at Wei Mengjie. You better pray that Pinyao will be fine, or else I will make you beg for death. After Qin Sun finished speaking, he did not stay and swiftly headed over to the backyard. Feng Ruqing did not care about Qin Sun and looked down at Wei Mengjie coldly. Are you sure that you don't know who's the person who asked you to poison me? Why would he come to look for you? Wei Mengjie sneered. He feels pity for me as I was kicked out from the Wei family and said that he wanted to help me. But I really don't know who he is. Perhaps he's afraid that if his plan didn't work out, I'd expose him. Oh. Feng Ruqing calmly took another black fruit out again. This fruit was the size of a bean. However, it was big enough to frighten Wei Mengjie. I don't know. I really don't know. I only know that he's a man, and I don't know anything more about him. Chapter 707. Feng Ruqing forcibly used her fingers to lock Wei Mengjie's jaw. Sponsored content. The intense pain caused Wei Mengjie to sob. She blankly stared at Feng Ruqing putting the fruit around her lips as her eyes were wild with terror. No. They'll say it. They'll say it. Feng Ruqing finally stopped, but the fruit was still in her hand. Her eyes were cold as she looked down at the girl who was lying on the ground, paralyzed. I really don't know much, really. Wei Mengjie's palms were already covered in cold sweat. She was terrified that Feng Ruqing would not believe in her. I just happened to hear that the man had mentioned something about young Master Nanxian. Oh yes, it must be that young Master Nanxian. Feng Ruqing's smile looked creepy as she slowly put her hand away. Wei Mengjie took a deep breath when she saw that, and then, her tense heart started to relax as well. Master Qin. The young girl slowly turned around. I think I already know who's behind this. This girl is at your disposal. Sponsored content. The Mu family. How wonderful. They had sent someone to poison her, hoping that she would be infertile so that they could pin the blame on Nanxian. What a pity for them. After searching and asking help from someone only to end up finding a fool. Qinger. Qini looked worried. It's really State. It's not him. I can't tell the details now, but I know already. What should I do now? In this world, even if she did not believe in anyone, she would still trust the State Preceptor. Sponsored content. He would never hurt her. Gu Yi heard Wei Mengjie's last sentence as soon as she reached the place with Tang Yin. Her body froze as she seemed lost in shock, which could be seen from her bright eyes. Nanxian. Did she just mention young Master Nanxian? Nanxian, this vixen has such a day too. Tang Yin was so excited that her little tail was almost raised to the sky. It seemed that she was not the one who was always in bad luck, since Nanxian, that vixen, had some bad days too. Suddenly, just as he was doing fine, a huge pot fell from the sky and trapped him inside. Sponsored content. Xiao Yin, the vixen that you have mentioned before, was Nanxian? She turned her head stiffly and asked. Tang Yin nodded vigorously. Yes, he's the vixen. Gu Yi's lips twitched as her face started to pale. Nanxian, that scumbag. What was he capable of other than being a good-looking person? Was not it enough for him since he already had so many women? Why did he still want to pester Xiaoqing? Xiaoqing was such a gentle and kind girl. She should not have met with such a scumbag. Gu Yi almost cried as she wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes. No, we must stop Nanxian from being together with Xiaoqing. Exactly. Tang Yin kept nodding. After we've stopped Nanxian, nobody can take Xiaoqing from us anymore. Tang Yin felt great inside as soon as she thought of that. Even her eyebrows were already lifted as she broke into a smile. They were so happy to the extent that they did not even realize Feng Ruqing had left. Let's go back and figure out what to do. Tang Yin turned around with a smile as she walked out of the Qin family's door. Then, she seemed to think of something as she shot a hesitant glance at Gu Yi. Oh, speaking of which, why do I feel that? You don't like Nanxian, that vixen as well? Gu Yi wiped away her tears again. It's such a pity that I was once Nanxian's fiancé. Tang Yin remained silent for a while, as she threw a sympathetic look at Gui. What a coincidence. Coincidence? Gui seemed confused. Chapter 708. Not long ago, I was Nancian's fiancé too. Sponsored content. There was dead silence. Gui was dumbfounded. Her eyes were still filled with tears as she stared at Tang Yin's cute and delicate little face in surprise. What a coincidence. Why did you break the engagement? Gui asked after a moment. Sponsored content. Oh, it's because I have a new sweetheart now. I've fallen for Xiaoqing. A new sweetheart. Tang Yin said those words in such a natural and granted way, and then she asked, what about you? Why did you break the engagement with him? Nancian is a scumbag. Gui gritted her teeth. Why does he still want to propose marriage in my family when he already has so many women? Tang Yin's big eyes flashed in surprise as she bit her lip. In terms of a romantic relationship, even though she and Nancian were rivals, she would always be very respectful of such a great opponent. Therefore, she poked Gui and said, I don't like Nancian because Xiaoqing likes him. However, Nancian has been captivated by our manner Xiaoqing and he's faithful to her. It's impossible for him to have so many women. If he ever dares to make our Xiaoqing sad, they'll use a huge mountain to smash him to death. Sponsored content. You said that Nancian is faithful to Xiaoqing? Gui's face suddenly darkened. Were the people from the Mu family lying to me? Gui was not as stupid as Tang Yin. After all, she was Manor Lady of Tianshan. Even though she had been well protected since her childhood, she still could quickly and easily understand the things she needed to know. She came to her senses as soon as she heard Tang Yin's words. She was so angry that her chest almost exploded. How dare they lie to me? Saying that Nancian had asked the Mu family to ask for my hand in marriage, which I had always been taking so seriously. Last time, I came to Lu Yun Kingdom just because I wanted to make sure that it's real. Of course, because of Fengruching, she had completely forgotten that matter later on. And now, even though she had taken the initiative to break the engagement, that still did not imply that she would allow anyone to deceive her. Sponsored content. What a coincidence that you were deceived too. Tang Yin's eyes brightened. Those bastards of the Mu family, they lied to me by saying that Nancian is a gentle person. Which part of him is gentle? Whenever he bumps into me in the Princess Manor, he would ask someone to throw me out of the manor. Gui got even angrier. Nancian is not gentle? The Mu family lied to me again. That's how they promote him to others. A powerful, talented, gentle, and good-looking man. How could the girls in Tianshan Manor not be fascinated by that? However, these were actually all lies. I still feel that Xiaoqing is the gentle one. Whenever she hits him, she won't use too much of her strength, and also, she would stay away from the boulders. Tang Yin's eyes seemed to light up as her face brightened up with a smile. Gui nodded in agreement. Indeed, in comparison, Xiaoqing was too gentle. Xiao Yin, tell me, if Xiaoqing ever finds out that I'm once Nancian's fiancé arranged by the Mu family, will she ignore me? Tang Yin's eyes rolled several times. No worries, if someone ever reveals your identity, just deny it till the end, and pretend like you know nothing. Xiaoqing won't blame you. Gui finally sighed in relief. Tang Yin suddenly thought of Gui's words and asked hesitantly, did you mention just now that everyone in Tianshan Manor wanted to marry Nancian, and also claim that Nancian has a lot of women? Do you mean that we can make use of this and turn it into gossip and soon Xiaoqing will leave that vixen and jump into our arms? Then, we can take the opportunity to win Xiaoqing's heart and climb to a higher position at the same time? Chapter 709. Throughout these 6 months, Tang Yin had brainwashed Gui so many times, making Gui more resolute and believing that all the man were big pig hooves and that true love only existed between women. Sponsored content nonsense. Tang Yin was enraged. Manor Lady Xiaoqing is so excellent. What makes Nancian think he could break her heart? Xiaoqing can abandon him, but he's never allowed to abandon Manor Lady Xiaoqing. Those bastard women who are having the fantasy to be with that vixen, I will beat them every time I see them. They'll beat until they don't dare to show up again. She gritted her teeth in hatred as her eyes were filled with anger. Those bastards. Were they crippled and not knowing how to walk when they saw a man? How dare they have designs on Xiao Qing's man? She would torture them to death one by one if she really met them. Gui nodded in agreement. You have a point. The Qin family's Qin concubine is one of them, and I'm not sure about the rest. I'll look into it later. A lot of things was brought up by the Mu family first. If the Mu family didn't deceive me, if the Mu family did not deceive her at first, she would not have nearly become Nan Xian's fiancée. If that drove a wedge between her and Xiao Qing, she would definitely set fire on the Mu family's residence and burn them off. Sponsored content Feng Ruqing immediately locked herself inside the medium as soon as she returned to the Princess Manor. She would not come out from the medium to see Nan Xian even if he came this time. She only walked out of the medium with a purple flower in her hand after 3 days. This flower that had not yet bloomed had 8 petals tightly surrounding the flower's core. The corners of her lips were gently lifted. She wiped away the sweat on her forehead, pushed open the door, and walked outside. Then, she saw Luli, who was obediently waiting outside the door and handed the purple flower in her hand to her. Sponsored content, take it to the Qin family and ask Qin Sun to brew it into flower tea, then give it to her. A petal each day will do, and do it for 8 days in a row. Yes, Your Highness. Luli took the flower from Feng Ruqing in a respectful manner. Just as she was about to leave, Feng Ruqing called out to stop her. Oh, by the way, during the 3 days when I was not around, how did the Qin family handle that Wei Mengjie? Your Highness. Luli turned around. I've heard that the Qin family's old master was so angry that he has beaten Wei Mengjie to death. The Wei family's master did not stop him either. Just that, 2 days ago, old Lady Wei came to stir up trouble as soon as she heard about that. In the end, Wei Feng sent her to the countryside and put her on house arrest. In the past, the Wei family was a rural family. The Wei family had only started to become more modern now, after they had followed in Nalan Hu's steps. Sponsored content, however, the Wei family's roots still originated from the countryside. Initially, Wei Feng had wanted to send the old lady to the second courtyard, where she could still enjoy a luxurious life with good food. But this time, he showed her no mercy anymore as he kicked her back to the countryside and forced her to live the life she had been living before. To prevent her from bringing up another Wei Mengjie again, he had even ordered someone to guard her, and that had completely taken away her freedom for the rest of her life. Isn't it good to live in the moment and enjoy life? Why would someone want to put herself in trouble? People like Wei Mengjie should die no matter what. As for what had happened to her in the end, Feng Ruqing would not have any objection to that. However, Feng Ruqing smiled helplessly when she thought of the person who was the mastermind behind Wei Mengjie's doing. Perhaps the Mu family would never have expected Wei Mengjie to turn out to be such a fool either. Besides, even if Wei Mengjie managed to pull it off, Feng Ruqing would still not be in any trouble. A handsome man's face came into Feng Ruqing's mind as soon as she thought of the Mu family. The corners of her lips gently lifted. I misstate Preceptor. Of course, Feng Ruqing was someone who would always keep to her words. She walked out of the Princess Manor as soon as the thought came to mind. Chapter 710. Somewhere not far from Lu Yun Kingdom. Sponsored content around the residence area on a mountain. Mu Ling stood, calmly with both his hands clasped behind his back, on an ancient tree. He was handsome and as fit as a pine, with a pair of eyes that was as deep as the sea. The person who kneeled in front of him was not Han Feng but another man now. How's it going now? Mu Ling looked tense as his eyes were filled with anger. Is that little girl infertile now? He had agreed that she could be the Mu family's concubine, but he would never allow her to deliver a baby for the Mu family. Sponsored content. The man trembled as terror had dawned on his face. Still, he managed to suppress his fear and tell him everything that had happened. Idiot! Mu Ling was enraged as he slapped the man's shoulders. The man was thrown away before collapsing onto the ground. He looked unkempt and pale. You idiot! Mu Ling's eyes looked hideous in anger. Did anyone ask you to find someone who can't even enter the Princess Manor to be in charge of this matter? The man who was dressed in black almost cried from grievances. Even though dense cold sweat had broken out on his forehead, he still crawled to and kneeled in front of Mu Ling. Master, those who are allowed to enter the princess manor. I couldn't buy them over, Mu Ling squinted. They can't be bought over? That's impossible. I know better than anyone else how greedy the secular people are. They will be tempted as long as you offer enough to meet their needs. Sponsored content. What I have said are all real. That kith and kin of Feng Ruching. They didn't give me a chance. What about the servants and guards from the princess manor? He just could not believe that he was not even capable of buying a person over. The black-dressed man's lips suddenly twitched. Both of the two little servants in her manor are just too vigilant. They let the wolf out to bite me before I could even approach the princess manor. They looked at me and looked at me like I was about to burn the princess manor. What about the others? Mu Ling's clenched his fists until the joints popped as his heart boiled in anger. The black-robed man's eyes were flooded with terror, as if he had witnessed the most terrible scene in the world. There's no one else. Only 2 servants were found inside the princess manor, and the rest are all spirit beasts. Sponsored content, not even a cook or cleaner. What do they eat and drink? Who's in charge of sweeping the courtyard? It's true. The chef inside the princess manor is an ape while other works are allocated to the spirit beasts. Have you ever seen an ape with a spatula? Have you ever seen a purple sable that swept the fallen leaves away? Also, a rabbit that grew vegetables. If you have not seen any of it, you may drop by the princess manor and take a look over there where you will be able to find every surprising scene there. You still want to lie to me at this point? Mu Ling sneered. How can a spirit beast be a chef? Do you think I'm that stupid? The black-robed man paled as his lips trembled. Every word that I've said is true. I've also found out that the housekeeper of the princess manor is a wolf while the guards are 2 bears. In fact, Mu Ling also knew well that this subordinate of his would never dare to deceive him in any way. However, he could never imagine that someone would actually hire spirit beasts to do chores for her. It's such a waste to hand those spirit beasts over to her. Luckily, her spirit beasts were not in high-tiered as nobody would bother to pay any attention to the low-tiered spirit beasts. After quite a while of contemplation, the man in black finally started to speak after some hesitation on whether he should mention that matter to Mu Ling. Young Manor Master, I've acted on my own as I wanted to pin the blame on young Master Nancian about how we had put Feng Ruching in danger, so we could drive a wedge between them. I have done this because... Chapter 711. At this time, a glimmer of wickedness flashed in Mu Ling's eyes. Sponsored content. Bang. An aura was emitted out of Mu Ling's palm, striking straight at the man in black. The man in black did not dodge the attack and thus spat out a mouthful of blood. Idiot. Do you truly think that everyone in the world is as foolish as you? If Nancian wants to hurt her, do you think he needs someone else to do it on his behalf? He could make her infertile without her knowing it. But it's Lady Qinjian's suggestion. Hearing this, color drained from the black-robed man's face. As this was Lady Qinjian's suggestion, he did not put much thought into it, and merely did as she had suggested. All he wanted to do was to completely ruin the relationship between Nancian and this lady. Sponsored content. Idiot. Don't you know that Nancian would find out that it is the Mu family who is behind all these? Do you want Nancian to hold grudges against me? Mu Ling clenched his jaw and punched the black-robed man squarely in the chest. As Nancian had always disliked Mu Ling had fully prepared himself before meeting him. If Nancian that knew all these are associated with Mu Ling, perhaps Nancian would betray him for that lady. It was all because of this idiot. Young Manor Master, please spare my life. I am just doing what Lady Qingyan has suggested. Please don't kill me. The black-robed man flew into a great panic and kept kowtowing to Mu Ling. What did you just say? Qingyan has asked you to do so? Dumbstruck by the man's words, Mu Ling's palm froze, mid-air. Why did Qingyan do this? Yes. Young Manor Master, this subordinate only wants young Master Nancian to leave this lady. Please have mercy on me. Sponsored content. Mu Ling pursed his lips coldly. If Qingyan has truly done this, she must have done this for me as she doesn't want to see Nancian lose his senses for a lady. She did this as she wants Nancian to return to the Mu family, Mu Ling said helplessly after a long while. Although Qingyin had good intentions, she had done more harm than good. However, Mu Ling could not bear to reprimand her. Read more chapter on our VIP novel. I will spare your life because of Qingyin. However, never tell anyone about this when you return to the Mu family. I don't want Qingyin to feel bad. Everything that Qingyin had done, she did for Mu Ling. As Qingyin truly cared for Nancian, if she knew that she had worsened the whole situation and that it would be harder to get Nancian back to the Mu family, she would feel very upset. Sponsored content. Mu Ling owed Qingyin too much. He could not bear to see her feeling bad. Thank you, young manor master, for sparing my life. As if being granted a great amnesty, the black-robed man quickly thanked Mu Ling. Go back to the Mu family and tell the old master that I will be back together with Suyi and Nancian sometime later. Mu Ling knew that Suyi still cared for him. Once her anger had faded, she would come back to the Mu family. Naturally, Nancian would also come back with her. At your command, young manor master. The black-robed man got up and turned to leave. Mu Ling stared in the direction of Lu Yun Kingdom. His eyes were as gentle as water, the corners of his lips slightly lifted. Suyi, it's time for you to come back. Qingyin had promised that when Suyi returned to the Mu family, she would move to another court so that Suyi would not throw a tantrum. Mu Ling had indulged Suyi's every whim, and even Qingyin had agreed to move out to another court. It would do no good to both Mu Ling and Suyi if she continued to be the way she was. Suyi was a smart lady. Naturally, she knew what to do. Suyi, a shrill voice came from the sky, above the southern bamboo grove. Chapter 7:12. Suyi raised her head only to see a white figure plunging toward her. Sponsored content. The white phoenix opened its arms widely in excitement and buried Suyi in its embrace. Sob sob. Suyi, I'm finally back. You truly have no idea how many struggles I have gone through. I have lost my way for half a year. Those humans are truly mean. Knowing that I am lost, they had shown me the wrong way. I have been to the northern wilderness, traveled all the way from there to the southern ocean. I have even reached the western desert. Fortunately, the white phoenix was finally back to Lu Yun Kingdom after half a year. The white phoenix scanned its surroundings and saw Nancian. Nancian, why are you here? The white phoenix snorted disdainfully. Sponsored content. You are no better than those vicious humans. You took my storeroom away and stole my tear in a bottle. Nancian disregarded the white phoenix and did not even spare a glance at it. His eyes fixed on the devastatingly stunning lady who was coming his way from not far away. The white phoenix turned its head to look in the direction that Nancian was looking. Seeing Feng Ruqing, its eyes lit up. Xiao Qingqing, good to see you again. I am White Phoenix. I am the best friend of your future mother-in-law. The white phoenix said reluctantly when it said the word friend. However, there was ample time ahead. It would definitely become Feng Ruqing's future father-in-law one day. Suyi, I told you that Xiao Qingqing is pretty and amazing. Their children will definitely look better. Suyi, you will become a grandmother soon. The white phoenix did not notice that Suyi's face had stiffened. What can I do now? How do I make phoenix soup? Sponsored content. Did I say something wrong? I don't think I did. Nancian and Xiao Qingqing are so in love with each other. Suyi will definitely have grandchildren soon. The white phoenix could finally sense the awkward atmosphere and rubbed its head. Its eyes were empty. Calm down. I must calm down. I can't lose my composure before Qing'er. Suyi's hand on her sides balled into fists. Qing'er, I don't mean to lie to you. I am just... Suyi's face stiffened. She turned her head around. Her face was still calm as if nothing had happened. I know. You don't want me to know anything about the Mu family. Feng Ruqing broke into a bright smile. You're right, but, Suyi sighed. Sponsored content. How do you know that? Just as Suyi wanted to say something, she paused as her elegant face stiffened. I knew that Nancian is your son a long time ago. Otherwise, Feng Ruqing would never have let Suyi stay in the princess manor for half a year. When did you find out? Startled, Suyi asked. Half a year ago. More precisely, I knew it since the second day I met you. Feng Ruching shrugged as she smiled. Suyi stroked the hair near her ear gently to hide her anxiety. Why did you never tell me that before? Suyi thought that she had hidden it very well. She had never thought that Feng Ruching had found out about her relationship with Nancian a long time ago. Oh, you seemed happy when you were pretending. I didn't want to upset you. Hence, I pretended that didn't know about it. Her squinting eyes shone with delight. Her smile was as dazzling as a bright ray of sunlight. Have you settled everything? Nan Xian walked forward, his slender fingers stroking the hair on Feng Ruching's forehead. Nan Xian knew that Feng Ruching went into closed-door cultivation as she had something on. However, he did not ask further and only stared calmly at the lady before him. Chapter 713. I am here to see you as soon as I take care of that. Sponsored content. Feng Ruching walked toward Nancian and put her arms around him. She looked up at him, her eyes overflowing with joy. Cough, cough. Both of you can take your time. White Phoenix, come with me. I have something to talk to you about. Suyi said calmly as she cleared her throat. The White Phoenix did not know what had actually happened. However, when it thought of Suyi wanting to talk to it, and that there would only be two of them, its heart pounded excitedly. All right, Suyi. Suyi turned around calmly and walked toward the southern bamboo grove. The White Phoenix stumbled after Suyi. A gust of wind swept through. Both of them quickly disappeared into the bamboo grove. Sponsored content. Feng Ruching did not even spare a glance at the White Phoenix since the beginning. She could only see Nancian in her eyes. Someone set you up? Nancian stroked Feng Ruching's head. His voice was still sweet as always, like a light gust of wind blowing by her ears. It was so comfortable. Someone from the Mu family? A glimpse of mysterious light flashed in Nancian's eyes. Simply no one knew what was in his mind. However, Feng Ruching could clearly feel the air surrounding them growing colder. Someone from the Mu family wants to make me infertile, and he said that you were behind this. Feng Ruching's lips curved into a smile. I don't know if he is a fool, or he truly thinks that I am a fool. Why would you get someone to do this instead? I trust that you will never hurt me. Sponsored content. Mu Ling is not a fool. He would not do this and push it to me after that. Nancian lowered his eyes. You were saying that? Feng Ruching raised her head to squint at Nancian. That lady. Nancian sneered. I know who she is. Feng Ruching's face darkened. Both Mu Ling and Qingyin had hurt Suyi so badly. Now, she had even made her move on Feng Ruching. Sponsored content, perhaps. That lady is worried as Mu Ling can't wait to get me back to the Mu family. Hence, she purposely did this to make me think that Mu Ling is behind all these so that I would hold grudges against Mu Ling and we wouldn't interfere with each other after this. However, little did she know that since a long time ago, anything related to the Mu family has nothing to do with me anymore. Even since Nancian left the Mu family, he was no longer part of the Mu family. No matter what Mu Ling or Chen Qingyin did, it was all in vain. Qinger, I won't let anyone hurt you. Nancian lowered his eyes as he smiled resolutely. Simply no one could hurt Feng Ruching. I trust you. Feng Ruching raised her eyes to stare at Nancian. She did not know why she had never lost trust in Nancian. It was as if her faith in Nancian was embedded in her soul and bones. It would never fade away no matter how many times of reincarnation. Nancian, you knew from the beginning that I am not the old princess, didn't you? Feng Ruching smiled, faintly. I knew. I am not saying that I have changed. What I truly mean is that I am not her. I don't belong to this world in my previous life. However, I have a strong sense of belonging to everything in this world, as if I was born here. Feng Ruching shook her head as she said. Moreover, there must be a reason that Feng Ruching could take possession of this body. Just that she had yet to find out the reason behind all of this. Nancian's hand that was stroking Feng Ruching's head stiffened. He wrapped her in his arms tightly. I only have a brother and a big doggy in my previous life. Now, they are all here with me. My brother is Qin Shun and my big doggy is the Dark Dragon. Both of them are extremely important to me. I can't turn my back on Chainer. No one can hurt him the slightest bit. Chapter 714 Nan Xian tightened his arms around Feng Ruqing. Sponsored content, just let me know what you want to do. I will give you a hand. As soon as Nan Xian finished his words, Feng Ruqing raised her head and gave him a quick and light kiss on his lips. Just as Feng Ruqing parted her lips, Nan Xian placed his hand at the back of her head and yanked her close to him. He leaned in and pressed his lips gently against hers once again. In the southern bamboo grove, a light gust of wind swept through the grove. The young master in a snowy white robe was stunningly handsome and unparalleled in this realm. The lady before him was devastatingly gorgeous. From afar, both of them looked more captivating than a beautiful painting. Nan Xian parted his lips after a long while. With one hand around her slim waist, both of them soared into the sky like a gust of wind. Not long after, they descended right before a wooden hut. Sponsored content, a faint fragrance lingered in the wooden hut. The wooden hut's interior was simple but elegant, just like Nan Xian's temperament, carefree and free from desire. Nan Xian took Feng Ruqing to a wooden bed and gently laid her down. Her hair fluttered in the wind. Messy, but did not in the slightest dim her beauty. Nan Xian's slender fingers slid through her tangled hair and landed on her cheek. "Where is Shaoqing, the snake?" Feng Ruqing asked, anxiously. "Shaoqing has lost its way. It won't be back before tonight." The corner of Nan Xian's lips lifted. Sponsored content, that's great. Feng Ruqing raised her head. She put her arms around Nan Xian's neck and kissed him on his lips. She could taste the sweetness lingered between his lips and teeth. It was so delicate, like the taste of jasmine. She truly loved the taste of him. After a while, she parted her lips with a faint smile on her face. "Nan Xian, do you still remember that I ate the fruit that Qing Han had given to me in order to save my mother? It had nearly crippled all my meridians." I remember that. It's you who had saved me that day. However, I saw a man who looked like you inside of me. The only difference was that his hair was gray." Sponsored content, hearing the lattice whispers, Nan Xian's hand that was stroking her hair paused as he stared her in the eyes. "I have no idea if that was you, but I could feel that I know him." Feng Ruqing could feel the heart-wrenching sorrow behind the man's eyes. Like a sword that had pierced right into her heart, it was so painful that she had nearly broken into tears. The man was so elegant. He should not suffer from such pain. Also, I have taken a painting from Paramount. I don't know why, when I look at the painting, my heart aches. Feng Ruqing's smile faded and pain crept into her eyes. The pain in Feng Ruqing's eyes pierced into Nan Xian's eyes and broke his heart. He leaned over to kiss her, wildly. His kiss was no longer as gentle as before. It was so passionate as if he wanted to taste every bit of her. In Feng Ruqing's eyes, Nan Xian had always been free from desire. This was the first time Feng Ruqing saw Nan Xian behave like this. However, she did not stop him, but simply raised her head to kiss him back. "Qinger, will you marry me?" "Wanhum?" Feng Ruqing's head tilted. She had always wanted to sleep with Nan Xian, but she had never thought of marrying him. "State Preceptor, tell me honestly, since when did you start having the desire for me? Why have I never felt that?" Feng Ruqing squinted as she smiled. If a dream was counted, it should be the year when Nan Xian was 5 years old. It was the first time his heart was broken. Chapter 715. In his dream, Feng Ruqing was overwhelmed by a feeling of profound sorrow. He felt a tug on his heartstrings as he watched her face. Sponsored content, Nan Xian's fingers slid across Feng Ruqing's cheek. "Perhaps. It started since the day you told me that you wanted to sleep with me in the southern bamboo grove." Nan Xian did not tell her that it had started when he was 5 years old, just that he did not manage to find her. Stunned, Feng Ruqing broke into a smile. Her smile was so alluring and innocent. "You are saying that you, too, wanted to sleep with me that day?" Nan Xian sank into silence. Somehow, he could see a threat hiding in her smile. He knew that everything that he said did not seem to be right. Hence, he chose to remain silent. Sponsored content, State Preceptor. "Do you still remember that you told me before? If I want to sleep with you, my strength must surpass you. What can I do now?" I still cannot defeat you. Feng Ruching smiled even wider. Feng Ruching had seduced Nan Xian so many times, but he did not seem to have any desire for her. It turned out that Nan Xian was just pretending all this while. Well, that's great. I said that you can do so when you can finally defeat me. What's the difference? Feng Ruching was dumbfounded. Nan Xian's arms were wrapped tightly around Feng Ruching's waist. They were so close that they could even feel each other's heartbeat. Sponsored content, you can defeat me now because I can never defeat you in my whole life. Nan Xian held Feng Ruching's hand gently and rested it on his face. Startled, Feng Ruching raised her head to stare him in his eyes. The young master before her was enchantingly handsome. The faint smile on his face was full of tenderness and affection. One could easily fall in love with him so deeply, and they could hardly get out of it. Feng Ruching could not restrain the desire burning within her. Once again, she climbed up onto his body, toward his neck, hugged him tightly, and kissed him gently on his lips. A light gust of wind blew. Their hair was entangled in the wind, their robe disheveled. Their shoulders were half covered by thin pieces of fabric. Erotic. Sponsored content. Suddenly, the young master paused. He held onto Feng Ruching's head as he stared at her with passionate eyes. Chinger, give me some time. Feng Ruching opened her lustful eyes and stared at the young master before her. Give me some time. I will marry you when I have conquered the world. Nan Xian lowered his eyes. His hand was stroking her head. His smile was full of tenderness. Feeling startled, how could Feng Ruching tell Nan Xian that she never had thoughts about marriage on her mind? Marriage was nothing but a formality. She could spend a lifetime with him just the way they were now. State Preceptor, I have never feared criticism. Feng Ruching tightened her hand around Nan Xian and yanked him close to her. The world had never been fair for ladies. It was normal for a man to lose his chastity. However, if the same happened to a lady, she would be condemned and cursed. If the lady got pregnant before marriage, the overwhelming criticism from the people around could take her life. I know. Naturally, Nan Xian knew that Feng Ruching took no heed to criticism. However, I am afraid that I might lose my mind and kill all those who malign you. Moreover, Nan Xian wanted to give Feng Ruching the best thing in the world. He wanted to give her the whole world. Hence, he would marry her when he had finally conquered the world. All right. Feng Ruching's eyes met Nan Xian's. Her heart pounded, erratically. The corner of her lips subconsciously lifted. Nan Xian looked at Feng Ruching, as if wanting to say something, but eventually, he did not say a single word. Nan Xian put his arm around Feng Ruching. His slender fingers slid through the hair on Feng Ruching's forehead. However, he did not regret the things that he had done. He would never allow anyone to tarnish her reputation. Moreover, he would never hesitate to kill anyone who dared to do so. Feng Ruching slept for one whole day. When she opened her eyes slowly, Nan Xian's stunning face came into view. A bright ray of sunlight poured down on him, making him look extremely cold and aloof. The corner of her lips lifted. Her fingers slid across Nan Xian's face. She lowered her head and kissed him on his lips. Without saying a word, she left and did not wake up the young master next to her. Feng Ruching did not realize that Nan Xian had opened his eyes and was lost in thought right after she left. Half lying on the bed with a snowy white robe half covering his body, his face was devastatingly handsome, like a deity who had descended from the sky. Chapter 717. After a long while, the azure snake crawled into the wooden hut from outside. Sponsored content. It seemed that Her Highness wants to leave Lu Yun Kingdom. Why don't you stop her? The azure snake asked after hesitating for a while. There is no need. I want to stop her from doing the things that she wants to do. If she needs a hand, she will let me know. Nan Xian's cold eyes were filled with a gentle smile. What if Her Highness refuses to do so? The azure snake asked, hesitantly. Then she must have her reason. Nan Xian trusted and respected Feng Ruching. Hence, he would never ask her for too many things. He knew that Feng Ruching would tell him if she truly wanted to do so. Sponsored content, however, it seems that Qing'er does not fully rely on me. Go and get everything ready. We are leaving soon. Nanxian smiled, faintly. Master, where are we going? Are we going to Tianshan Manor? The Azure Snake was slightly surprised. We are going after Qing'er. Wait, we will set off when she is 1,000 meters away. Otherwise, she will notice that someone is stalking her. Nanxian paused for a while. Master, what are you doing? If you cannot bear to part with her, why don't you stop her from leaving? The Azure Snake was rendered speechless. Master, are you sure? Are we really going after Her Highness? I thought you said that you respect and trust her? The Azure Snake said hesitantly. Sponsored content, That's why I didn't stop her. However, it doesn't mean that I am fine with her to go alone, Nanxian said calmly. I think the people around Her Highness might be in danger instead, the Azure Snake said, fearfully. Nanxian's chilly gaze was fixed on the Azure Snake. Stunned, the Azure Snake shook violently as it said, hastily, the people out there are too mean. Her Highness is such a weak lady. How could she handle them? We must go after her. We should secretly protect her. Nanxian's face softened. However, yesterday was such a good chance. Why didn't you make good use of it? The Azure Snake blinked. Sponsored content, do I look handsome? Nanxian responded only after a long while. Dumbstruck by Nanxian's words, the Azure Snake was lost in wonder. Since when has Master become a narcissist? Moreover, the Azure Snake was no human. How could it tell whether Nanxian looked good? Many ladies have fallen for you and would pounce on you as soon as they see you. Hence, you must be very handsome. The Azure Snake answered after some time. If I no longer have this handsome face, Qing'er, would she still want to sleep with me? The Azure Snake's eyes widened in shock. Master has always been a cold and aloof person. Since when did he start to worry about personal gain or loss? He is actually worried that Her Highness wanted to sleep with him because of his handsome face? Master, is that the reason why you didn't grab the chance yesterday? No. The things that I had told her were true. I must marry her before having children with her. I don't want anyone to humiliate her. Then what you truly mean is, I want to get everything ready. If she wants to sleep with me because of my physical appearance, when I no longer have my stunning face, I will disfigure whoever approaches her. In that way, I will still be the most stunning man. The Azure Snake slithered backward. It felt that ever since Nanxian had met Feng Ruching, he was getting more and more terrifying. What if he disfigured the Azure Snake? It had not found a female snake that it loved yet. Chapter 7:18 Nanxian stared nonchalantly at the Azure Snake as he could read its mind. Sponsored content, she won't fall for a beast. Moreover, you are ugly. You are ugly. The 3 words were like 3 swords, piercing right into the Azure Snake. It was so painful that the Azure Snake burst into tears and nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. Master, I need to be respected too. Moreover, I am the best-looking snake in the snake clan. You could malign me, but not the entire snake clan. Then I will replace all the spirit beasts around her with snakes. That would be a great relief. Wait, Master, what do you mean? Are you condemning the snake clan? Sponsored content. Nanxian did not wait for the Azure Snake's response and walked out of the wooden hut. As soon as he stepped out of the hut, a deadly aura rushed toward Nanxian from afar. A glimpse of viciousness flashed in his eyes. In an instant, he disappeared without a trace. Suyi was standing on a bustling street. Her cold gaze was fixed on the man before her. Her face was cold and nonchalant. Suyi. Seeing Suyi once again, Mu Ling's voice was stuck in his throat. He could not resist the urge to walk forward and hold her hands. Seeing this, Suyi quickly retracted her hand to dodge him. Sponsored content. Mu Ling's outstretched hand was left hanging mid-air. He put down his hand slowly after a while. You have always been simple. It would be fine if you were still in the mountains. However, people here are vicious. I am worried about you. Hearing this, Suyi's lips curved into a sneer. Mu Ling was right. There was a vicious man standing right before her now. Suyi, When are you going back with me? It's the old master's birthday in a few months. He misses you so badly. Moreover, Qingyan has moved out because of you. Mu Ling had always been true to Suyi. However, he owed Qingyan too much and failed to keep his promises to her. So, he had made Qingyan his concubine as it was his promise to her. Sponsored content. Oh, Sui said, indifferent. I will be back on the old master's birthday. You can leave now. Don't disturb the life of our family of three. Our family of three. Mu Ling smiled wryly. It seemed that Suyi really liked Feng Ruqing. If Feng Ruqing had a good family background, Mu Ling would take a step back and make her Nanxian's principal wife. However, she had none. She was of no help to Nanxian. Suyi, you know that I have always missed you. Don't you know my feelings for you? Mu Ling stared affectionately at Suyi. This time, Mu Ling was smart. He did not mention Feng Ruqing. Suyi merely frowned. If not for the fact that she had a good upbringing and did not want to dirty the street, she would have thrown up. Suppressing the feeling of nausea, Suyi turned her head slowly to stare at Mu Ling. I thought you only have Qingyan in your heart? It had always been like that. It will be like that in the future. Mu Ling's face darkened. However, he did not burst with anger like he used to but suppressed the anger in his heart. Suyi, you know very well that I would never have married you if I don't love you. Moreover, you were just an orphan back then, Mu Ling said, begging. You were not that kind of person back then. Mu Ling was slightly startled. Suyi was such an elegant and noble lady back then. Not to mention bad-mouthing others, she had never even said anything spiteful before. But what did she just say? Because you, Mu Ling, have never known me? Suyi walked toward Mu Ling slowly. If a lady has made up her mind, she would never change for anyone. You can leave now. I don't want Nanxian to see you. Suyi turned around, calmly. You don't have to come to me. I will go back on the day of the old master's birthday. Also, if you don't want to see the Mu family being massacred, don't ever lay your hand on Qing'er. Don't think that both Nanxian and I will sit back and do nothing. Mu Ling. Not only Mu Ling. The same went for Qingyan. Not only had the people of the Mu family hurt Nanxian and Suyi, but they had also harmed Feng Ruqing. Suyi would never forget about this. They must pay for the things that they have done someday. Chapter 720 Suyi. Mu Ling called out sadly. Sponsored content. Suyi paused. The reminder was not for your sake. I only hate you and Qingyan and the Mu family. I don't want the Mu family that was set up so hard by the old master to be ruined. I also don't want my brother-in-law who has treated me well to get hurt. However, Nanxian had no affection toward anyone. If you push him too hard, he could do anything. She smirked with pride in her eyes. After all, Nanxian was her son. She knew his character well. By then, don't expect me to stop him. Mu Ling's face darkened. Nanxian wants to destroy the Mu family. I think. He doesn't have this ability yet. Suyi smiled lightly. You know Nanxian's talent the most. How many people have you sent over the past 10 years? Those people have witnessed his growth. The Mu family will be stomped under his feet sooner or later. Up until now, Suyi still could not figure out the extent of Nanxian's strength. However, she understood that the Mu family would be crushed under his feet sooner or later. Sponsored content, she just hoped that Mu Ling would not ruin the old master's efforts. He is my son. Mu Ling was so furious. How dare he does this? Suyi smiled ironically. Nanxian doesn't accept you. You will never be his father. Don't blame me for not warning you. If you don't want to see bloodshed in Tianshan Manor and those innocent girls to die under the sword, don't find him any wife or concubine. Mu Ling stopped breathing for a moment. That Feng Ruqing, who does she think she is? Furthermore, is she capable of killing those girls in Tianshan Manor? Qing'er is so gentle and kind. She wouldn't do such things. I'm talking about Nanxian. Suyi looked up. In the breeze, her white clothes were light and picturesque. My son. I know him better than anyone. He dares to do anything if you pushed him too much. Mu Ling had not seen Nancian for a long time. Even though he knew that Nancian was a little unfriendly now, he could not figure out what Nancian's temperament had become. Thus, he was silent for a while before he asked, "Then why don't you stop him?" Read more chapter on VIP novel. Com-sponsored content. Suyi turned back, indifferently. She glanced at Mu Ling's dark face. Nancian is not as half-hearted as his biological father. His devotion to Qing'er is wholehearted. Why should I stop him from protecting her? On the contrary, if he did, I would think that he has done a good job. Suyi was married to a bad husband, Mu Ling. Nevertheless, Suyi had always believed that there would always be someone in this world who would treat her wholeheartedly. Mu Ling was shocked. Suyi had changed greatly and become more vicious since she left home. Besides, where did she see Feng Ruqing's tenderness and gentleness? Sponsored content. Was Suyi blind? How could Feng Ruqing be kind and gentle? Ridiculous. Suyi, can you leave now? Suyi spoke firmly. She was apparently reluctant to continue talking to Mu Ling. She initially wanted him to get out. However, she still used the word leave instead of get out due to her status. You want to fight me? Mu Ling's face darkened. He stared at Suyi's pretty face in disbelief. Yes, Suyi answered indifferently and walked slowly toward Mu Ling. Mu Ling took a deep breath. He felt distressed. Okay, they'll leave. Suyi, I thought you would understand my heart after all these years. But in the end, you still don't repent. He had talked nicely and begged her to go back. What else did she want? Not enough trouble yet? However, Mu Ling could not bear to do anything to Suyi after all. Hence, he could only glance at Suyi sadly. Then, he turned and left. Chapter 721. Suyi's gaze was cold. She stared coldly in the direction where Mu Ling had left. She seemed to have something in mind. Sponsored content. She had collected herself by the time the man's figure completely disappeared. Then, she turned around, indifferently. But her footsteps suddenly stopped the moment she raised her eyes. A fairy-like guy was standing in front of her. The man coldly gazed in the direction Suyi was staring at, expressionlessly. Why did you let him go? You should have asked him to leave something behind since he came here. Suyi smiled helplessly. I already knew that you would be like this. So, I have just poisoned him while he was unprepared. He didn't defend against me at all. Since he has harmed Qing'er by poisoning her, I have treated him to his own medicine. Sponsored content. The Suyi before could never have done such a thing. Therefore, Mu Ling would not have known to what extent of damage Suyi could do today. Nancian's face turned bright. What poison have you used? The aphrodisiac potion. Suyi chuckled. I have no interest in the Mu family. But this does not mean that I am willing to let Qin Qingyan live happily. Hence, I intend to find some rivals for her and distract her from us. She did not seem to worry that Mu Ling might rape an innocent girl. Mu Ling was very cautious, although he was not intelligent. This was the secular world. There were rules and regulations. If he dared to do such a thing, Tianshan Manor would not protect him. Sponsored content. As it should be. If a girl was willing to become his woman, it would be another matter. Chen Qingyan had been living comfortably in Tianshan Manor over the years. If Suyi did not find some rivals for her, she was afraid that Chen Qingyan would create troubles over nothing behind everyone's back. The punishment is still light, Nancian said, coldly. If it was not for Qing'er's strength, her life would be torn to pieces as she fell into Mu Ling's trap. The harm Mu Ling had done to her, he would pay him back in 100-fold. Suyi thought for a moment. Or, he'll wait for the aphrodisiac potion to have the effect, then try to amputate his genitals? And make him unable to walk in the future? You don't need to go to him. Nancian regained his composure. I can handle those things. You don't have to do it. You don't need to see him again. Sponsored content. Oh, Suyi answered, obediently. She almost lost control this time. If she met him again next time, she would be exhausted. Nancian did not say much. He walked slowly toward the city's gate. He seemed to be calculating the distance between him and Feng Ruqing inside his heart. Just after Nancian left Luyan Kingdom following Feng Ruqing, Tang Yin and Gu Yi, who were abandoned, went completely crazy. Little Loli held a letter in her hand. Her hands were shaking, and her tears blurred her eyes. Her face was also pale. Xiao Qing had left. She had written a letter and left. Did she want to abandon them? Gu Yi and Tang Yin stared at each other for a few seconds. Boundless sorrow swept over them. They could not control their sadness. Then, they hugged and wept together. The weeping could be heard clearly by the entire street. Suddenly, Sui hurried over. Tang Yin, did you see Nanxian? Nanxian left me some words and had disappeared. They had seen each other not long ago. At that time, Nanxian did not say anything. If she knew that Qing'er and Nanxian would leave Lu Yun Kingdom, she would have followed them. She just went out to do something this time. She will return soon. Tang Yin looked at Suyi suspiciously. Really? She will be back soon?
Yes.
She has not run away with Nanxian. The vixen? Nanxian does not need to run away with her. She belongs to Nanxian. Tang Yin stopped talking. She bit her finger and frowned. Suyi was right. Xiao Qing did not like someone following her. If she was discovered by Xiao Qing, would she dislike her even more? Then, are you going to find Xiao Qing? Tell her that Gu Yi and I will be waiting for her obediently in general manner. Ask her to come back earlier. Chapter 723. After a long silence, Tang Yin spoke in a cute and soft voice. Sponsored content. Suyi gradually smiled, but she was afraid of being discovered by Tang Yin. Her smile gradually disappeared. Wait until Qing'er and Nanxian have children. This girl will give up then. Fengyun Manor. Located on a high hill, two disciples stood guard at the manor's gate. They saw an attractive figure from far away. They were fascinated at first, then they immediately came to their senses. Just as they wanted to step forward to stop them, they saw Hongyu behind the girl. Sponsored content. Isn't she Guardian Hongyu? The disciple on the left was shocked. He thought of something and quickly gave way to them, respectfully. Feng Ruqing went into Fengyun Manor smoothly. Soon, a group of people hurried over with Elder Lei Yun leading the group. Everyone's footsteps were quick. Their footsteps only stopped when they had arrived in front of Feng Ruqing. Welcome back, Manor Lady. Welcome back, Manor Lady. The passionate voices echoed under the sky for a long time. Sponsored content. Elder Lei Yun. Feng Ruqing slightly smiled. Her eyes rested on Lei Yun's old face. Is my room prepared? Lei Yun bent humbly and respectfully. My Manor Lady, the former Feng Qing court that was occupied by Tang Yu has been taken care of again. You should be able to move in. Well, come to my room later. I have something to tell you. In addition, these two girls have served me since I was a child. Arrange them to serve near my Feng Qing court. Yes, Manor Lady. Lei Yun naturally did not dare to neglect the two girls who were brought by Feng Ruqing. She ordered people to arrange their accommodations. Seeing this, Feng Ruqing ignored the other people and went straight to Feng Qing court. Lei Yun turned his attention to Hongyu and others as soon as Feng Ruqing left. You all can go back to where you were just now. It seems that the lady is satisfied with you all. You will be the one serving the lady in the future. Sponsored content. The maids were happy. They were more willing to follow Feng Ruqing than to cultivate in Fengyun Manor. It was clear that the choice they made before was not wrong. Dismiss. Elder Lei Yun waved his hand and then turned away. Elder Lei Yun gave you this chance. Hongyu smiled while turning back. She looked at the respectful maids behind her. That day, he had asked everyone if they were willing to seize this opportunity. Only you trusted Elder Lei Yun and made the right decision without any regrets in your life. With these people's talents, even if they were only disciples of Fengyun Manor now, they might have a place in the future. On the other hand, if they went to Lu Yun Kingdom, they would only be maids without any training. There would be no such a holy place for cultivation like in Fengyun Manor. So, at that time, Lei Yun only said a word. This was an opportunity. The only thing was to see who would grab it. He did not force anyone. In the end, only those who were here right now had taken the chance. You are also tired. Get a good rest and stand by at Feng Qing court later. After that, Hongyu, too, turned and left the maids. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.